Most gardeners treat August like the finish line. They look at the fading tomatoes, the tired basil, the heat, the bugs, and they assume the productive season is winding down. But smart container gardeners know something most people completely miss. August is one of the best moments to build a patio garden that doesn't just feed you once, but comes back and feeds you again and again for years. Today I'm going to show you 7 of the best perennial vegetables to plant in containers in August. Some of them will start giving you leaves surprisingly fast. Others are long-game giants that reward patience with harvests for years on end. And make sure you stay with me all the way to number 1, because that final plant is not just productive, it is the king of the container perennial garden. So grab your pots, clear a little space on that patio, and let's get planting. Starting us off at number 7, sorrel. If you've never grown sorrel before, prepare to be shocked by how useful this plant is. Most gardeners think leafy greens in containers are always temporary. They assume you sow them, harvest them, watch them bolt, and start all over again. Sorrel refuses to play by those rules. This is a true perennial green that comes back year after year, and once you taste those bright lemony leaves, you'll wonder why it isn't in every single container garden already. Sorrel is one of the easiest late summer container crops because it actually appreciates the cooler shoulder seasons. August is a perfect time to plant a young transplant or divide an older clump. The Royal Horticultural Society recommends a container at least 12 inches wide and 8 inches deep, and that is more than enough to get this plant settled in. Keep the compost evenly moist, and if your late summer is still brutally hot, move the pot where it gets morning sun and a little afternoon protection. What makes sorrel so valuable is the harvest pattern. This is not a one-cut plant. You can keep snipping the outer leaves over and over, and regular picking actually encourages a flush of fresh, tender growth. In a mild climate, that means leaves from autumn through spring, and in colder regions, it explodes back to life the moment winter loosens its grip. The flavor is crisp, sour, and citrusy, almost like spinach, with a squeeze of lemon already built in. Chop it into salads, melt it into soups, or stir it into eggs for a bright punch that completely wakes up the dish. And here's the secret that keeps the harvest going. The moment flower stalks appear, cut them out. The RHS is very clear on this. If you let sorrel waste energy on flowering and seed, the leaves become tougher, and the plant loses momentum. Treat it like a leaf machine, not a flower display, and it will reward you for years. At number 6, garlic chives. This plant is wildly underrated. People hear the word chives and think garnish, tiny sprinkle, final touch. But garlic chives are far more than that. They are a perennial allium that gives you flat, flavorful leaves with a clean garlic kick, and they perform beautifully in containers. If you want a plant that quietly sits in a pot and keeps handing you cut after cut after cut, this is it. August is a brilliant time to plant garlic chives because late summer warmth helps the roots establish fast, while the cooling days ahead reduce stress. And if you buy an established clump, you won't be waiting long at all. The University of Minnesota notes that chives grow very well in containers as long as the pot has drainage holes and a loose, well-drained mix. Don't overfeed them. That is the trap. Too much fertilizer gives you soft, weak growth. A modest, healthy clump in a sunny spot is where the real flavor lives. What I love about garlic chives is how neatly they fit into container life. You harvest by cutting the leaves down near the base, and the plant just keeps sending up more. Even better, this variety naturally flowers later in the season, usually in July and August, which makes it easy to identify in the nursery right now. Those white flower clusters are beautiful, but if your goal is maximum leaf production, snip them once they begin to fade and force the plant's energy back into the foliage. The flavor is stronger and more useful than many gardeners expect. Toss the leaves into dumpling fillings, stir-fries, omelets, noodles, savory pancakes, or anything that needs that perfect middle ground between onion and garlic. It's one of those plants that makes everyday cooking easier because you can walk outside with scissors, take what you need, and be back in the kitchen in less than a minute. Sliding into number 5, Welsh onion. This is one of the smartest container choices you can make if you want a perennial onion that behaves like a constant green supply instead of a one-and-done bulb crop. Most people are locked into the annual onion mindset. Sow seed, wait, pull bulb, finished. Welsh onion gives you a completely different model. It grows in clumps, stays green for an incredibly long season, and keeps giving you tender stalks again and again. According to the Royal Horticultural Society, Welsh onion is an edible perennial that remains green virtually all year round. That one detail alone should get your attention. In a container, that means you're not building a crop for a single dramatic harvest. You're building a permanent onion station on your patio. Give it a fertile, well-drained mix, full sun, and a container with enough width for a clump to expand. Moist but not waterlogged is the rule. August is an excellent time to set out starts because the plant can root in while the weather is still warm, then settle into a long, productive cycle. Harvest the outer stems first and let the center keep growing. That is the trick. Never strip the whole clump at once. If you're patient and selective, the plant just keeps rebuilding itself from the base. In the kitchen, Welsh onion is absurdly versatile. Use it raw where you'd use scallions, slice it into soups, tuck it into stir-fries, or grill whole stems until they go soft and sweet. And here's a fact most people never hear. This isn't just a baby bulb onion. It's a separate species, Allium fistulosum, grown specifically for that clump-forming, non-bulbing habit. In other words, it is genetically built for the exact type of repeat harvesting container gardeners love. At number 4, Good King Henry. This is the old-world perennial vegetable almost nobody talks about anymore, and that is exactly why it deserves your attention. If you love the idea of a plant that acts like spinach, returns every year, tolerates a bit of shade, and has real garden history behind it, this is your hidden treasure. The RHS describes Good King Henry as an edible perennial with arrow-shaped leaves that can be eaten raw or cooked, tasting similar to spinach. But that simple description doesn't capture why experienced growers get so attached to it. This plant gives you multiple types of food from one root system. The leaves can be harvested like a leafy green, and the young spring shoots are so prized that one of its traditional names is Lincolnshire asparagus. Think about that. A container plant that can play both spinach and asparagus-style roles in the kitchen. August is a smart time to plant it because perennial greens love having time to root in before the hardest cold arrives. Put it in a deep container, especially if you want it to stay put for years, and don't panic if it doesn't become a monster immediately. This is not a flashy sprint crop, it is a permanent resident. Partial shade is perfectly acceptable, which makes it incredibly useful for patios that don't get punishing all-day sun. The main rule is simple: keep picking. The RHS specifically notes that regular harvesting keeps the leaves tender and helps stop the plant from rushing to seed too early. That means the more intelligently you harvest, the better the plant behaves. Steam the leaves like spinach, fold them into stews, or sauté them with garlic and olive oil for one of the easiest nutrient-dense side dishes you can produce from a pot. And just like that, we're halfway through the list. So far, which one would actually earn a place on your patio? Are you more excited by the lemony leaf power of sorrel, or are you tempted by a permanent onion clump that keeps coming back? Let me know down in the comments. Alright, let's keep going, because the top 3 get even more impressive. At number 3, Egyptian walking onion. This plant almost sounds made up the first time you hear about it. A perennial onion that doesn't just grow, it walks. And once you understand how it works, you realize it was practically designed for a container. The University of Wisconsin explains that instead of producing ordinary flowers and seeds, this plant forms little bulbils at the top of its stalks. As those top sets become heavy, the stems flop over and the bulbils root where they touch down, allowing the plant to slowly walk across the garden. That exact aggressive spreading habit is why container growing is so brilliant. You get all the productivity and all the weird magic without letting it march through your entire bed. August is one of the best times to start them, because those bulbils are often ready right now. Plant them shallow, keep the soil evenly moist while they establish, and give them full sun. These onions are hardy, vigorous, and astonishingly low drama. You can harvest the green shoots like scallions, dig the small underground onions, or save the top bulbils to replant and multiply your stock. Few plants give you that many edible stages from such a small footprint. And here is what really makes it special. You are not rebuying this crop every year. One container can become the mother colony for future containers. Snap off a few bulbils, pot them up, and suddenly you've cloned your own onion supply. It is the kind of plant that turns a gardener into a collector almost by accident. Coming in at number 2, rhubarb. Now this one surprises people, because most gardeners associate rhubarb with old backyard patches, giant leaves, and plants that seem too big and too permanent for container life. But that is exactly why growing it in a pot is so powerful. It gives you complete control over placement, drainage, and division, and late summer moving into autumn is one of the best times to establish it. Washington State University notes that rhubarb does best when planted in the fall while dormant, and that same season is also best for dividing crowns. So if you are planting in August, this is your signal to start the process now, especially as nights begin to cool and garden centers begin carrying dormant or established plants for the coming fall window. Use a very large, heavy container. This is not a cute decorative pot crop. Rhubarb needs real root room and real moisture. Here's the thing most beginners get wrong. They want to harvest too soon. Don't do it. Rhubarb is a long-term investment, and WSU is clear that you should wait until at least the second season before taking stalks. But once established, it becomes a force. Those thick tart stems are loaded with flavor, especially the red ones, which also contain anthocyanins, the same powerful antioxidant pigments found in many red and purple fruits and vegetables. Cook the stalks into compotes, jam, crisps, sauces, and desserts, or pair them with savory dishes where that acidity cuts through rich meat beautifully. But there is one non-negotiable warning: never eat the leaves. The leaf blades contain toxic levels of oxalic acid and must always be discarded. The stalks are the prize, the leaves are not food. Respect that rule, and you have one of the most rewarding perennial container crops you can own. And finally, taking the crown at number 1, asparagus. If you want the ultimate proof that a container can become a long-term food system, this is the plant. Nothing else on this list makes the point more dramatically. Most people think of asparagus as a luxury vegetable you buy in bunches for too much money, eat once and forget about. What they don't realize is that a properly established asparagus planting can keep producing for over a decade. The University of Minnesota states that an asparagus planting can last 15 years or more. In other words, this is not just a vegetable, it is a commitment that pays you back for years. Now, let me be honest. Asparagus is not the instant gratification pick on this list. It is the long game. But that's exactly why August is so important. August is when smart gardeners start setting up the infrastructure for the future. If you are in a region where late summer is easing, or you have access to healthy nursery plants, a deep, wide container can become the permanent home for a small asparagus colony. Think big from the beginning. Deep soil, rich organic matter, excellent drainage. This plant hates being cramped. And here comes the rule that separates successful asparagus growers from disappointed ones. Do not get greedy. When you plant crowns, you do not harvest the first year. University of Minnesota guidance is crystal clear on that. Let the spears grow into ferns and build strength in the crown. In the second spring, you may take only a light harvest if the plant is healthy. Real abundance comes later. This is patience turning into food. But once the system is established, the reward is incredible. Thick spring spears that rise from the soil like clockwork. Snap them young and roast them, grill them, shave them raw into salads, or steam them with butter and lemon. There is almost nothing in the vegetable world that feels more luxurious than harvesting your own asparagus from a plant you built years earlier. And here's the fascinating part. Asparagus isn't just a perennial because it survives winter. It is a storage machine. Those tall ferny tops you see after harvest aren't useless growth. They are solar panels. Every season, they capture energy and send it back down into the crown so the plant can erupt again the following spring with even more strength. That's the real magic. The harvest you enjoy next year is being manufactured by the foliage you protect this year. And that wraps up our list of 7 of the best perennial vegetables to plant in containers in August. The beauty of these plants is that they change the way you think about container gardening. Instead of starting over from scratch every season, you begin building a patio that gets wiser, stronger, and more productive with time. Some will give you quick leaves, some will demand patience, but every single one of them moves you closer to a garden that keeps giving back. So, which one are you planting first? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next gardening guide. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, happy planting.